Okay, I watched Sky last night, and on it there was a program about this woman being stalked, and straight away it made me remember the time I was being stalked once by a woman, and of course this woman was being stalked by a man. And most of the programs are about women being stalked, but men get stalked as well. And I got a good story about that because this story is in my book. And a good friend of mine said to me, "Why don't you start doing videos about stories that are true or in your book?" And when I saw that last night, I thought, right, I got a good story about when I was stalked, and I'll do a video about that. And I got a few on already on YouTube, and also you'll see by my other videos, I've become popular for sleeping with so many women. But women have always been my downfall, you know. Of course, I'm 65 now this September 2014, and I don't bother now. But what I do now is just promote my books and do stories, and people can't get over the experiences I've had with women over the years. And this particular incident happened back in spring of 1986. As always, on a weekend, I'd have my children one weekend, and the following weekend, then I'd go to my friends and go to the local nightclub. Either Carmarthen or Llanelli, and always sort of chat up a woman. A lot of my friends would go to a nightclub and just sit down and drink there, but me, I was out dancing and trying to chat somebody up, and I was always managing to chat somebody up. As a good friend of mine said once, I go around them all to make sure that I do get somebody who'll say yes. But this particular night, I didn't have to do that because I saw this woman standing on her own by the bar. And as I walked in and I started chatting to her, and she looked really nice, you know. She had light hair, not bad looking, and a good body, you know. Everything I was looking for in a woman, you know. I always looked for a good looking woman and chatty and nice. And she seemed to be everything I wanted. And I asked her to dance, and we went to dance. And I bought her a drink. And as the night went on, my friends went their way, and I took this and got food. And which I normally do when I chat them up. And when we got outside, she said, "Oh, come back to my place to have food. I'll cook you food," she said. She had a nice flat there in West End, in Llanelli. So anyway, back I went, and well, I can say her name anyway, Margaret, because she's no longer there. I don't know where she is now, but she's no longer around here at all, because I'm back and forth to Llanelli, and but I never see her. Anyway, I was aged 36 at the time. I'd had a divorce, and I was enjoying myself, having a good time dating all these women. And she was about 30. And we went back to a flat, and I got to say, I was bowled over with her cooking. She cooked me a beautiful meal, and I was really, really bowled over. And straight away, we started kissing, and I was in bed with her in no time. And I got to say, she was really hot, you know, and I didn't stop all night. And I'll never forget the next day, I could hardly walk. I was so tired. And the next day was Sunday anyway, fortunately. Wasn't working the next day, but I was working Monday. And I still felt tired, and my legs were really stiff, you know, after having sex all night with her Saturday. She was really, really good, you know. I gotta say, she was, oh my God. We didn't stop that night, and I arranged to go down and meet her in the week. And this time I was working. So I was well, I knew I couldn't do much in the week because I was working the next day, but still I went down to meet her and stayed the night with her, and away we went again. And the next day I went to work. I was working underground as a miner, getting up early in the morning to go underground. And I was shattered. And I thought, I can't keep this up with this one, she's too much for me, but I like her. So anyway, I'd arranged her then to come back and stay with me the weekend. I wasn't having the children that weekend. I'd had the children, I was having the children one weekend on a Saturday when I was working afternoons. No, when I was working days, sorry. And then I was going out to, I was having them on a Saturday, one weekend on a Friday, next weekend. And I was fitting my children in, my 3 children, with dates. And I was trying not to clash them. I was trying not to do, I couldn't do the both. I have the children and I've women there, otherwise my ex-wife wouldn't allow it. So I was trying to fit them in. And so I think it was a Friday then, I asked her to come down. And I had the children on a Saturday, something like that. Anyway, she came down to stay the night on a Friday, and again, we didn't stop. And it was a nice break for me that Saturday. I had my children there, where I enjoyed staying in, having a bottle of wine, and watching a film with my children. But she had wanted to come back Sunday as well. So, okay, I told her. So she came back Sunday again. And I was working afternoons though that following week. So we were at it all night Sunday again. I couldn't believe she was so hot, and I was really taken in by this because she was so good, one of the best I'd ever had in bed, and she would she'd do anything for me, absolutely anything. Anyway, we got up the next day and I went to work, and she said, "Can I stay here and see you tonight?" She said, "And I'll make food for you when you come home," she said. And I said, "Oh, okay then," I said, because she seemed too good to be true. And she was too good to be true. So I went to work that day, and all my miners were buggers for pulling your leg. And they were all on to me, "Oh, here he comes." And by now they were calling me Shagger and Casanova because they couldn't get over the women I was going out with. A lot of these old miners had worked underground since they were 14, and the only women they had were their wives. So they couldn't get over me having all these women. So they loved my stories, and I was telling them I found a good woman here and all that. Anyway, I got home that Monday night after working afternoons, about 11 o'clock, and I couldn't believe it. She had cleaned my house from top to bottom and even cleaned the outside shed and toilet. I was gobsmacked that she did all this. I couldn't believe how good she was. And again, she stayed the night again. And the following day, she asked me if she could stay again. And I thought, oh, I was getting really tired now because I had 2 nights of her non-stop and I was working and I couldn't handle another night. So I said to her, no, come back again next weekend. And the following week now, I had the children, I think it was Saturday, and I asked her to come back on a Friday. And as it turned out, my children couldn't come down that weekend because my ex-wife, she'd go into a huff sometimes and stop me seeing her. So I would then go out and date my friends, we were always, even though we split up, me and the ex-wife, we were still falling out. We just, I was married for 11 years. How I stuck up for 11 years, I don't know. Anyway, so okay then, so Margaret came down and stayed again Friday and asked if she could stay Saturday. And I said, yeah. So I told my friends, oh, I'm not going out to do Saturday. And they all said, oh, be careful, Clive, you're getting involved again. And I said, no, this one's really good. I said, she's cleaning for me and everything, And all we did Saturday was, again, back and forth to bed. We were non-stop, I never met a woman so hot in my life. Anyway, Saturday night, about 8 o'clock, she ran out of cigarettes, you see, and there was no shop where I lived then in Poriats. I lived on the Carmarthen side in Maes Glass. And she wanted me to get her cigarettes. So I said to her, okay then, I'll get you cigarettes. And I went down to the club to get her cigarettes, which was about 10, 15 minutes walk away. And my friends said, oh, come on, have a pint with us, have a pint. Okay, so I had a pint and another pint. So I was there for 2 hours before I got home that night. It was gone 10. And I thought, oh, she must be wondering where I am because I got her cigarettes. Yeah, she must be gasping. So when I got home, I went up to my door to get in, and my door was locked. Now, I hadn't taken the back door key with me because it was supposed to be open. I had a big bolt inside as well that she had put across. So even if I had a key, I wouldn't have been able to get out. So I knocked the door and I shouted, open up, I said. Why have you locked me out? I couldn't understand this. Now, with a bit of luck, I had the front key on me, door key. And she didn't know this because she had locked me out to my own house. So I managed to get into the front door. And I went around and she was in the kitchen with a bread knife. She was standing there with a bread knife. Her eyes were staring at me and there was froth coming out of her mouth. She was raving mad. I've never seen anything like it. I shit myself. I'm going to kill you, she said. Where have you been? She was screaming at me. And I thought, oh my God, what's going on here? Where's the nice Margaret? So what I did, I picked up a chair. And funny enough, I've been watching lion tamers holding lions back. He was in the chair. So I picked up a chair. And she was coming at me with the knife, and I pushed the chair against her. And what I did, using all my strength to push the chair against the wall. And I held her against the wall, and I managed to get a hand with a knife. And I let the chair go, and I pulled her down by her hair. And she was strong. I could barely just pull her down by her hair. And I was holding her face on the floor, and she was screaming like a pig. And I was saying, let go of the knife, let go of the knife. And she let the knife go. And because I knocked her head on the floor, I made her nose bleed, you see. So she put her head up, and her nose was bleeding. And I opened the back door, and I told her, get out, and I threw her out. Now she ran up the road, and she saw two friends of mine coming up from the club, because this was going on now, about 11 o'clock. And she told my friends, oh, look, Clive's hit me. Look at my face. She was covered in blood. But I hadn't hit her. I was holding her down on the floor. Anyway, she went to phone the police. Half hour went, and the police came knocking on my door. Two policemen, a sergeant and a constable from Llanelli. And I opened the door, and they said, excuse me, but this woman's got nowhere to live. She's living with you. And I said, no, sorry, she doesn't live with me. She got a flat in Llanelli, I said, and she just pulled a knife on me. Well, she claims that you've hit her. And I said, no, I held her down, and unfortunately, her nose is going to bleed. Anyway, the sergeant turned around and said to me, it's okay, we know about her. We've had trouble with her before. And they took her away. And this was the start of a long stalking event that I was getting with her. Because the following weekend, I finally had the kids down. And I was sitting there on a Saturday night watching a movie with the kids, and a knock comes on the door. And I knew it was her. I just knew it was her. I went to answer the door, and she was shouting, I want to talk to you. I shouted at her, get away. I got the kids, get away. So I locked the door. She came round the back window, knocking the window. And my kids were saying, who's that? I said, oh, it's an ex-girlfriend, just passed by. And she kept on knocking and shouting, I love you, I love you. And I was getting worried now because I had the kids, because I didn't know if she had a knife or anything. So I told my eldest daughter, Melanie, well, she was in the back, and I was there with the two youngest kids. So I told my eldest daughter, run up to the phone, quick, I said, give her money. I didn't have a phone then in the house, you see, or mobile. You go back now, 1986. So my eldest daughter ran up to the phone and phoned for the police. The police came again and took her away. Anyway, that was the start of many visits. The following Friday, I went to the nightclub and I met a Sharon there. And me and Sharon hit it off. And Sharon was coming back to me, and we were standing by the bar, and up she comes, and she goes to me, "Who the hell is this woman?" And I told her, "Clear off now." "Who are you?" She goes to her. "Sharon," she said. She was such a nice little woman, nothing like this Margaret. And she said to this Sharon, I'd only just met her, "Do you love him?" And she said, "Yes." And with that, she went to throw a punch at this Sharon, and I went in between her, and she caught me on the nose. And she gave me a nosebleed because she had a hell of a punch. She was strong. The bouncers came, grabbed hold of her, and threw her out. And I told this Sharon, I said, "Be ready, she'll be waiting outside." And this Sharon said to me, "Oh my God, Clive, what was that?" And I said, "Well, she's an ex-girlfriend." "Ex-girlfriend? You went out with her? You're crazy going out with a woman like that. What came over you?" "I don't know. She was nice at the time," I said. Anyway, we were walking out the nightclub, and there she was, up the road looking, and she came running down, and there was two policewomen across the road, and I shouted, "Police, police, she's attacking me." And the two policewomen ran across, right? And she comes running into me now, and the Sharon, and I just pulled her arm one side, and she goes flying on the floor. Her shoe came off, her ass was in the air, and a bag fell her. By then, the policewoman got to her and got hold of her, and she started hitting the police. She was going crazy. And two policewomen, and they had their colleagues now pulled up in a car, and they dragged her into the car, and she was hitting her. And that story came out of the Star, which was embarrassing because my friends were telling me at work, and they said, "Clive, we go to town, we fight with men. You go to town, you fight with men." Anyway, I thought, that's the end of that now. She's been arrested. I was hoping now she was finally going to be arrested. Anyway, that following week, I was afternoons again, and I was Wednesday night, I was in bed, and going on to Thursday morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a big bang. Now the door I had then, it was a council house in my class. It wasn't double glazing, it was one of these old doors. Even though I had a bolt to go across, I hadn't thought of putting the bolt across because the lock wasn't that stable. And she must have known this because I heard a bang. I woke up 2 o'clock in the morning, and I could hear Margaret walking up my stairs shouting, "Clive, I love you, I love you." And I was sitting up in bed thinking, "Oh no, she is back." So I got out of bed, and she was crawling up my stairs, drunk, out of her mind, and totally lost it. And she had a taxi out, sent a taxi away. The phone was right up the road. I couldn't go and phone for a taxi to pick her up or phone the police and leave her on her own in my house because God knows what she would have done. I had to stay there with her. I had to get her into bed. I had to use my idea now, get her into bed. She was growling all over me, saying she loves me, and she was crying, "I miss you, Clive, I'm sorry." So I know a lot of people who know me say I was stupid for doing this, but I had to make love to her. I had to give her sex. That was the only way I was going to get her to sleep. So once she had sex, she slept like a log then, and so did I, because I was working afternoons the next day. The next morning, we got up, and she was shaking. Now, that's the first time I seen somebody shaking after doing. She was shaking like a leaf. She was shaking. And I went to town with her now. I said, "Come on, I'm taking him home," she said. And she said, I can't. I got to have a drink," she said. "I'm shaking. I got to have a drink. I got to have something." "I'm taking him home," she said. I got her to dress. I didn't have breakfast. I just took her on the bus I had no car then. Of course, I was 20 years without a car myself, right? I've only had a car back now, last 7 years. And I took her on the bus into Llanelli, and we got off the bus, and we walked through the arcade, towards where she lived. And I said to her, right, you keep away from my place now, I'm going to kill you, I said. I've had enough of you now, keep away from my place. And with that, she threw a punch at me, missed, I ducked, and I started running, and she started running. She started chasing me. I was running through Llanelli, and those people I know said, Clive, what's going on? I said, I'll talk to you again, I got a psycho after me. She was running after me through Llanelli. Everybody was looking, and I had to run all the way around. Fortunately, because she had had that drink and she had a hangover, and I was able to outrun her. Anyway, I finally got home and left her in town. And now I had to use the bolt now across my door because she would come back again. And I told her this. I said, I'm going to bolt my door, so don't try kicking my door down again. And I'll get the police next time, I told her. Anyway, the following Friday, I was in the nightclub and I chatted a woman from Paradise up. And we were sitting there, and this woman from Paradise was, well, my mate, Dodo, my mate, we call him Dodo, he was with me, and he chatted a friend up, and I chatted her. She was a bit stalky and big, but I thought I'll go out to her for Dodo's sake. And lucky because she could handle herself, because this Margaret came in, saw me with this one, and I told this one, look, my ex-girlfriend's coming. And this one said to me, I'll sort her out. And she was only small, but she was stalky. Margaret came up to me, sitting with this one, and said, who are you? Told this one, and this one said, F off. F off. And Margaret said to this one, outside. And this one said, come on, outside. And she told me, I'll be back now. And I thought, hang on, Margaret's a bigger girl than this one. She's a bigger woman, more stock, more masculine, and this one is short. But out she went, and I told a friend, she's going to have to Margaret. Margaret will kill her. And a friend said, no, you watch. Anyway, about 20 minutes, in she comes, not a mark on her. And I said to her, where's Margaret? Out cold. I gave her a pasty, she said. Oh, do you know, I said, I love you, I said. You've finally given her a pasty. Anyway, I went back to stay the night with her in Paradise. And well, I remember, I stayed the night with her, and I got up the next day, and she'd stolen my money. She stole my money because I had no money left in my pocket. Because she was back and forth to the toilet all night. I was sleeping like a log after having sex with her. And she must have taken that chance then to take money out of my pocket. And I thought, that's it. Finally go shot to Margaret. She's on a pasty now, she'll keep away. No way. Margaret kept on coming back. Kept on coming back, knocking on my door. Kept on coming back. And the following weekend, I was in town with Dodo, and she came up to me, went to throw a pint over me, and I ducked, and the pint went over Dodo. Dodo was soaking. She threw a pint over Dodo, but she tried to throw a pint over me. The bouncers threw away. She was banned from the nightclub eventually. She had a police injunction to stay away from Pontiats. And after about 6 months of stalking, I finally got rid of Margaret. And I'm telling you, I was taken in because she was so good in bed. She won me over, and that was an amazing story in my life. That's in my book. And well, I don't know where she is now. I don't know if she's alive or not. I'm just so glad I never see her again. Okay?